In this lecture, we're going to look at how to call protected API endpoints. These are the endpoints that require the user to be authenticated or logged in and potentially have certain permissions. So here in the terminal window for our Node server, let's stop this server and open this project in VS Code. Here in the config folder, open up default.json. Earlier, we set requires auth to false. Now we're going to turn this on, so the user has to log in order to create, update, and delete a movie. Now, back in the terminal window, let's restart the server. Now, if you're a Node developer, you probably know this library called NodeMon. With that, you don't have to stop and restart the server every time. That's it. Okay, our Node server is listening. Beautiful. Now, back in the browser, let's see what happens when we try to edit an existing movie. So you can make any changes here. Click Save. Nothing happens. If you look at the Network tab, you can see our request failed. And the status is 401, which means unauthorized. That means this API endpoint required the client to send a JSON web token, but the client didn't send that. To fix this issue, we need to go back to our React application. So here in VS Code, let's open up HTTP service. As I told you before, this module is responsible for making HTTP calls to the backend, and this is the only place where we're configuring Axios. So if tomorrow we decide to make any configuration changes, there is only a single place we need to modify. Now here we're going to add another line of configuration for configuring default headers. So we're telling Axios that, hey, whenever you want to send an HTTP request, make sure to include this header in the request. So we type axios.default.headers.comment. With this, we can set headers on all kinds of HTTP requests. That is GET requests, POST requests, and so on. We also have other properties like POST, and with this, you can configure headers that are applicable on HTTP POST requests. So back to comment, here we use bracket notation to set a common header that is x-auth-token. Now here we need to get the user's token from local storage. But as I told you before, here we don't want to directly talk to local storage. We're going to use our auth service because that's the only module, the only service that knows where these tokens are stored. So let's import auth from auth service. Now we call auth. Currently, we don't have a method to get the token. We have get current user, which actually returns a user object. So we need to add another method in this module. Let's open up auth service. And here we export another function called getJWT. And in this function, we simply return local storage.getItem and pass token key. And finally, we need to add this to our default object. So getJWT. Done. Now back in our HTTP service, we call auth.getJWT. Beautiful. So now whenever we have an HTTP request, this token will be included. If the user is not logged in, token will be undefined, so this header will not be set. Okay? Now let's test the application one more time. So back to our movie form, save, our application is working. Beautiful.